There are many questions about NoFap I see people ask often, such as, how does NoFap affect our career success? Do we become more productive once we are in NoFap? If we do, how does it happen? What is the science behind our productivity? We will discuss NoFap and career success in this video. During NoFap, our motivation level goes very high. But the first thing you must remember, there are two types of motivation. The first one is external motivation. External motivation comes from external sources. It is as simple as that. If you are motivated by an external reward like money, fame, or respect that can make you feel good, it is an external motivation. Again, you always don't need to feel good to be motivated. Sometimes, fear and anxiety can also motivate you to pursue your goals. Deadlines, fear of losing your job, and life-threatening situations are also external motivators. Though these motivators are negative in nature, they can harm you more than your benefit. Nevertheless, external motivation has significant limitations and they are short-term. Perhaps you watched a motivational speech, and now you are all motivated and excited to reach your goals. But after a few days, the motivation will die, and your goals and hope along with the motivation will die off too. External motivation is not bad. In fact, to jumpstart in anything, external motivation is very effective. But what creates lasting change in ourselves is internal motivation. The second is internal motivation. As the name suggests, internal motivation comes from inside us. There is no need for external factors. There are no external rewards or threats required to do our work. We do it on our own. Why? Because doing the work itself is the reward. People who have intrinsic motivation live a much happier and healthier life. They love what they do. They are not goal-oriented but process-oriented. Of course, goals are important, but goals only give you direction, not the reason for your work. Have you ever been lost in your work for a few hours until somebody reminds you to eat your food? Have you ever gotten lost in a conversation until you realize you were talking for hours? Have you ever listened to a song that puts a smile on your face? That is internal motivation. But what do all these have to do with NoFap and career success? Intrinsic motivation and NoFap, such as a spike of dopamine. The pleasure you feel in expectation of a reward is the spike of your neurotransmitter called dopamine. You must have noticed the excitement and pleasure before switching on your PC to watch pornography or play video games. In other cases, the excitement of meeting your crush, the excitement of the weekend for the working people, the excitement of ordering pizza, or the excitement of achieving one's goal. It is the expectation of a reward that spikes our dopamine. It is one single neurotransmitter responsible for our motivation, creativity, pleasure, and addictive behavior. One more thing to notice is that the neurotransmitters spike for a moment and go down until a new expectation is built up in your brain. Therefore, to make yourself pleasurable for a long time, you have to keep providing your brain with information for a long time. This is why pornography viewers can't stop themselves from clicking one clip after another. Why would they stop? They are getting the spike, which is making them feel pleasurable for a long time. And of course, according to the brain, pleasure is better than pain. With dopamine spikes, there are changes in expectations. Again, you must have noticed that your viewing time of pornography keeps getting longer and longer over time. This is because dopamine doesn't spike much on the same information. As the information keeps getting older, the spikes keep going down. It needs new information to get a higher spike. Moreover, your brain remembers the initial spike you got before. According to your brain, that was very important for survival. So, your brain wants that pleasure or reward again. You want to experience that excitement once again. But your old pornography videos or the usual stuff are not that exciting anymore. Now, you need something strong, something hardcore that can create that excitement once again. So, now you move on to bondage, illegal, taboo, etc. Sure, it creates excitement and makes you feel highly pleasurable. But this is also for a short time. After a few days, you need even harder stuff than these. Your expectation has changed now. Once a simple clip of pornography could make you excited and pleasurable, but now that doesn't even interest you. If that's the case, how come regular work or other natural interests you had can compete with your pornography addiction? We will come back to this later. You also need to remember neurons that fire together wire together. Our brain is constantly changing. It is not fixed like a solid machine. Before the recent discovery in neuroscience, people used to believe that our skills and talents are fixed. We can never improve them after a certain age, nor can we improve our learning. This is far from the truth. It is proven that we become better at what we practice with focus regardless of our age. Though the learning speed of an adult will be slower than a child, the rate is enough to achieve excellence. Every time we perform specific tasks, certain neural pathways related to those tasks get activated. If the pathway neurons get frequently activated within regular intervals, the neural pathway becomes stronger and bigger. What happens when a neural pathway becomes stronger? We become better at it. We form habits or addictions based on the nature of the activity. The neural pathways can become stronger in two ways: by repeating the behavior or by emotions. Through these neural pathways, our neurotransmitters like dopamine travel. The higher the spike of dopamine, the stronger the pathways will become in less time. Pornography is perfect for this job. We watch pornography repeatedly. Moreover, the spike in neurotransmitters is way higher than any natural spikes because the brain relates pornography with reproduction. Once we are addicted to pornography, the neural pathways are so strong that, if we want to quit watching porn, most of us fail because of cravings and urges. The stronger the pathways are, the stronger our addiction or habits become. This is why the famous quote came to light: neurons that fire together, wire together. If the neurons that fire together can wire together, then the opposite is also true. Once you don't perform a specific task, the neurons in their pathways start to shrink and become dormant. Though it never dies, the cravings, urges, or skills go down. Perhaps you have noticed that once you stop playing video games for specific days, your skills in the game decrease. People who have remained in space for a few months find it difficult to balance their steps once they land back to Earth. People who are successful in NoFap lose cravings for pornography, and now all they question themselves is, why the heck I was watching those stuff. Again, once the neural pathways of pornography become stronger and dominant, the other neural pathways that give natural joy, like watching the sunset or talking to people or working on your dream projects, start to prune. The gray matter in our brains starts to reduce. Why will the brain focus on something that is not important? Suppose you are repeating a certain activity repeatedly, and you are getting huge spikes of neurotransmitters from that activity. In that case, that means this activity is very important for survival, according to your subconscious brain. Of course, your conscious brain knows that watching pornography is not important for survival. So, your subconscious brain starts to prune other neural pathways. And because of this, other activities become less rewarding over time. Once you start your NoFap journey, the good news is that the stronger pathways related to pornography start to shrink, and your dopamine starts to balance back to normal. Once your dopamine starts to balance back to normal, you find other natural tasks rewarding again. This reward is intrinsic motivation. The career success and small practice are important, but if you think of NoFap as the magic pill of productivity, then you will be disappointed in the long run because only NoFap is not enough. You can visualize NoFap as fertile land, where you can plant any seed you want and it will grow rapidly. But seeds don't get planted on their own. This is where small practice comes into the picture. What is a small practice, and why is it important? As the name suggests, small practice is practicing small, but don't get fooled by the simple explanation of the small practice. Before proceeding with the meaning of small practice, let's understand why it is important. Small practice helps in forming habits because to be successful in our careers, we need to form productive habits rather than relying on our willpower and motivation every day. Successful people have healthy habits, while unsuccessful people have unproductive habits or addiction. But forming productive habits is not easy because it demands effort. People assume that only those who have strong willpower or motivation can form productive habits. This is, again, far from the truth. Anyone can form habits with a small practice. To form a new habit, we need to repeat the same behavior after regular intervals. The more we repeat the behavior, the sooner our habits get formed. Of course, focus plays an integral part in forming habits. Thus, mindless repetition is as useless as not doing them at all. But repeating the same behavior after a regular interval seems impossible to most of us. Some start with high motivation and continue to work on their projects for a few days, weeks, or months, but they stop sooner or later. They join the gym to lose weight and become engrossed with it for a few days or weeks, but they quit eventually. They buy guitars and practice rigorously, but sooner or later, the guitar goes into the attic. There are many examples on why this happens, because extrinsic motivation never lasts long, as we discussed above. Once our brain gets familiar with the routine, dopamine starts to spike less. Once there is no motivation, our daily practice depends on our willpower. But Practicing something for 1 to 2 hours every day that we are not motivated enough is a big task for our will. So, rather than accepting that we cannot practice for that long, we make false promises as we will start from tomorrow or from January 1st or after the trip from Iceland. In simple terms, we procrastinate. But what if we don't need to practice for 12 hours? What if we just need to practice for 5 minutes or 10 minutes? Sure, practicing for 5 minutes is not a big deal. It's small and easy. If you keep your everyday goals small, a few amazing things will happen. Once you meet your small goals, like reading 3 pages every day, intrinsic motivation will kick in. But why? Because intrinsic motivation comes from action and not from thoughts or any other external push. The feeling of joy, the slow rush of happiness when you work on your goals, is intrinsic motivation. Once you meet your daily goals, this will give you a sense of accomplishment. This sense of accomplishment will push you further to do the bonus practice. There are thousands of times when you don't feel like going for your daily workout. But once you are there in the gym, you become the crazy maniac who wants to burn all his fat in a single day. The bonus practice will help you to form your habits rapidly. But the trap is that you start to increase your daily goals. If reading 3 pages every day is your daily goal, and your bonus practice is between 20 to 30 pages, you should never change your daily goals to 5 or 10 or 15 pages. Once your daily goals increase, there will be higher chances of skipping. Once you skip, the process of breaking the habit starts. It is always the start that is difficult, not the process. But if you are a pornography addict, no matter what strategy you use, there will be no intrinsic motivation once you meet your daily goals. NoFap and career success are related because it boosts your productivity. But the benefit of NoFap doesn't end here in forming habits, but also in other areas. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more. Also, don't forget to share this with your friends and leave a comment below with your thoughts. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring. X King out.